So please welcome back to the show, Ellen Weir. Welcome, Ellen.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. My neighbor in San Diego, which is so fun to know um, that you're so close and
Mhm.
that we will be in person one day soon, hopefully at one of my retreats. But knowing that your book just came out, knowing that you were just featured in a documentary and walked the red carpet in Hollywood, there's so many new things since December of 2020, which was episode 33. So to think of our lives and just finishing your book and listening to the end of your book and how, you know, I think what was really registering with me when I was thinking of your life, our life in the last 4 years, because it's really when I met you was really at the peak of this COVID thing and really this transformation of your life and how my life too. And you referenced in the book, like have looked back at your life in the last 4 years and what has really been, I've been listening to God and following your intuition and taking the breadcrumbs and finding the magic. And oh, I just resonated with that so much because that's really what I look back if I could, look up from the sky and look down at my life since that day 4 years ago. Oh, so much has changed, but it's because we've been connected and really um, followed our path, and I always say, like, when you hear that voice, you just say yes. You never know, right? Just keep picking those breadcrumbs up. And that's what you've done. And now you've got to share it in a book. So I feel more connected to you now after reading that book. So we're going to go into this because episode 33, we really went into the near-death experience. And so if anyone's listening and wants to hear that full version, go back to 33. But let's go into it a little bit. And then I would love to just, dive into the oils and the sound and your stories just the way that you discovered your worth and your value and your beautiful soul. Like it's just like it just radiated through those pages. And it was so beautiful to watch um, it's like really just having, it's like having a daughter. And I know you have two daughters, but it's like I was listening to you and I was thinking, we're reading your book and thinking about my girls and
Mhm.
having worth and being treated by, how they're going to be in a relationship and what they're going to accept. But when now as a mom and you read your story, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, what a story, right? What a way to teach your girls how to stand up and be strong and know they're so valuable and powerful. Okay. So, Ellen, take us on your little journey of this 12-year-old girl and
Mhm.
explain to people your story.
Thank you. I will. And I love what you say because, it's true. We can look around the world and we can think, what can we really change? Can we change this? What do we do? And we feel so hopeless. And sometimes we feel that way in our own lives, like I did. And yet there is one thing we can control, and that's our light. And do we step into our journey and our light and trust in something bigger? And it all did start for me in that near death experience. You know, I I'm gonna shorten it a little bit. I was kicked in the head by a horse when I was 12. I was in a coma for about 5 days. I came out of coma to music after choosing to come back and heal people with music. I made that choice on the other side. And music is what woke me from the coma. Music playing bedside, and it drew me back into my body. But more than that, I received messages on the other side. I received messages when I was there about why we're here now, and that we can create our future, we can create our reality, that we can discern our thoughts to create more positive thoughts in the future. And I'm learning so much about how the more we step into our light, the more we handle these situations that come through to us in life with grace and with love and with light, the more we can actually elevate our own existence on this planet. And the world rises up to meet us. So, so yeah, that's my near death experience in a nutshell. And I basically stepped back into the fullness of the messages of that experience through a divorce. And that's what the first part of the book is about, that how I went through an unexpected divorce and was going through what I thought was the most devastating experience in my life, which actually was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because it led me to great love. It led me to love myself. It led me to find love. It led me to step into my true path and purpose. And now I get to do that for other people. I get to bring light. And that's a gift I brought back with me from the other side, was kind of this knowledge of how to help people connect to their own higher presence, to receive messages of hope, light, and love constantly for themselves, even though, sometimes they come to me, they come directly to my clients. And that is beautiful. I was with a client this morning and I was crying because, she's going through a very difficult time right now in her life. And yet she was able to speak with her higher self, and God spoke to her through our work, and she learned, I'm going to be okay. And the message she came away with was, I am loved beyond what I could ever imagine. I am peace. And most importantly, I am powerful. And when she had this, she looked at me at the end of the session. She said, this was life changing. And it's because she was able to connect directly to those feelings of hope and light. And that's why I love what we do. You bring light to the world through your work, and you spread light. And same thing. I love to spread light through music and through sound, through the language of the soul, right? Sound and breath and vibration, all of these things. So
Right.
yeah, that's why I'm here.
But when you were on the other side,
Mhm.
and you were mentioning, I was listening to you say something about like your view now as an older woman, because that was when you were 12, as souls that have chosen to be here right now in this time of our
Yes.
life. It's such a like a huge, um, I'm trying to think of the right word, just like we chose this, like we are one of the people that we are the souls that are going to move this
Yes.
planet to the next dimension.
Absolutely. I mean, we chose to be here. We have the gift to be here. People like souls would love to be in embodiment on this earth right now because what is happening. And though it might not look like it, we are on the precipice. We are in a golden age. We're getting to look at the shadow part to be able to choose the love. And the more we step into that collectively, and something is happening on a widespread scale. People are coming to me that have gifts and connections to source that they've never had before.
Right.
And they want to understand it. So they come in and we talk about it and we help to cultivate that. Here's the message. And it's beautiful. Our entire planet is on this trajectory of light that can't be stopped. It's just beautiful. And yes, we chose to be here now. This meeting with you was, you know, chosen for us. This is divine intervention. Every single thing, every experience. And if we recognize that and we see the lessons and the ability to rise above and rise through these experiences of contrast, that's that's how we step into a higher plane. And our world rises to meet us. So the more we make these positive choices, the more positive things come to us. So the more we focus on the positive with our thoughts, with our actions, with our dreams, even, right? The more the world brings us those positive experiences and people. So it's a collective and collaborative experience of life.
Do you believe that as a 12 and your soul chose to have that horse kill you, basically, put you in a coma,
Mhm.
and that was your choice before you came down, so it would open your soul's purpose to the sound healing avenue that you're going down, your path?
Oh, yes. I mean, I don't know if you believe in, previous lifetimes or not.
Yes.
As it was shown to me later in life, I had died by a head injury in previous lifetimes. And this is my lifetime that I could choose to use it as a way to help people wake up, to help people understand that there's something greater. I absolutely know that not only did my soul choose it in that moment, but I do believe it was destined for me to happen, that I was meant to come here and experience that. And again, we have free will. So it was still a choice in that moment on a soul level. Do I come back or do I stay? And choosing to come back is when I was flooded with this gratitude. I get to be alive. I get to do this. I get to come back. I get to overcome here. I mean, overcome it and like give this gift of living to my soul. I mean, what a beautiful experience, right? And to know in that moment as a 12-year-old girl that I get to come back and heal people with music and help people heal themselves, through sound and consciousness and light. I mean, what could be better, right? That's like the most amazing gift I could ever get. And I'm grateful every day. And gratitude's a big practice for me. Gratitude was one of the main lessons I came back with, that we give gratitude and it keeps this upward trajectory going of life. So yes, I definitely know that I was meant to come and do this. And I'm so thankful that I made the choice to come back. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful.
So if you look at it from a higher perspective, if your soul decided not to,
Mhm.
do you come back and do it again? Like
Yeah.
how do you see that? You'd have to come back regardless into another body?
Well, I could choose to. I think we ultimately have the choice. I think that it would have been right no matter what the choice were.
Right.
If I had chosen to stay, it would have all been fine. And I knew that without a doubt in that moment, that there was no right or wrong. And this human experience is the illusion, and our being in the light is the reality. This is only a tiny fragment of our overall wholeness, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think that I would have come back. I know that I would have chosen to come back because I really love this experience of life. I'm really enjoying, I'm very thankful to be here. And yeah, I do. I think I would have come back.
I've talked to a lot of people that have had near-death experiences that say the colors and it's like a more real than it is when you're in this human body.
Yeah, which is fascinating because I don't remember before my head injury. Like as a growing up, I only have a handful of memories that came back to me, and yet I remember every detail of the near-death experience. And there were different realms, I don't always talk about this either, but there's the golden light realm where I was complete and whole in everything, and I was love, and oh, it's amazing. But before that, there was another light realm before that was white and vivid colors that were different than the earth and music. The golden part of my experience, the golden light, that was more of just a being, an experience. But prior to that, in my near-death experience, there was kind of a place that I felt that I went. And it is interesting. I think there are different levels. And the more that I get to know other experiencers, we have groups and we come together and we talk and we share our visions and all of that. Um, I have a friend who went through multiple levels of existence. So she sees it as kind of this elevator of moving up in consciousness. And she started at the lowest like amoeba or whatever, and then moved up through an insect and then small animals and larger animals and humans. And then she went into the light realm, and she was in one level of the light realm. And then the next one was this sound, music, and light realm, which I believe I operate from. I think that I pull energy and consciousness from the sound, light, music, and color realm of the light realms. And it was fascinating. It is fascinating. I think we have different levels of existence, and we create and we pull in whatever is necessary for us to be our most powerful light on this plane.
Right. When you're in that golden light is that where you saw Jesus or?
Jesus was in front of me before I went into the light realms, and then also at the end when I came back. So I knew he was there, and then the man that was on my left was with me as well. I went into the first realm, which was, colors and lights and different colored rivers and pinks and turquoise and music. And then I went into the golden light, became the light. There was no human construct at all. There was no judgment. There was no one word. It was all love and only love. It was all knowing, unconditional love. There was no one way to get there. It was just absolute love, pervasive, all loving for all beings. And then I came back to the raft and Jesus was in front of me. And he's the one who asked me if I wanted to live my life on earth or stay in heaven.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, he was in the beginning and also at the end. And he's come back to me since then many, many times. Um, and so has the guide that was on my left too. And it was just the most beautiful experience.
When you, when you,
I talk about it all in my book. I completely outline my experience and then how I developed my work based on downloads that I received from the other side about vibration and music and sound and light. Because an induction, like a ray of light, is how I always begin my work. We bring in the ray, it's a different color for different people. It goes to different parts of the body. It releases old patterning. It brings each of the cells back up into the magnificence of light, right? And then we move into the music journey.
explain the science with the music with our cells and like we're made of water and the vibration and all that.
I don't know if you follow Veda Austin,
Yes, I do.
but
I've
I'm going
asked
to
her
be,
to be on my podcast too.
yeah, I'll be speaking with her on her show, the science of spirituality and the consciousness in July. And she is amazing and has taken Dr. Emoto's work on the consciousness of water to the next level. But basically, in a nutshell, water has consciousness, water has memory. So when we speak to our water, what it does for our cellular level, because we are water, is absolutely miraculous. We can use it to help us heal, to connect with our highest and greatest good, to connect with the self. And then Veda has some very interesting water ideas about the water element and how it holds the light within us, because at its smallest molecular level, light emits from water. And so we know that water is light. And that's how she and I started talking, is she wants to bring on near-death experiencers to talk about how we use light and our experience of the light and how it also relates to water. It makes perfect sense to me because this downloaded experience that I've brought back with me, yes, I know the science behind it. I understand the levels of consciousness. Because my master's is in transpersonal counseling and I studied altered states of consciousness, I understand different brain waves and theta brain waves and how the bowls at different pitches can bring a client into these theta brainwave states. I understand the concept of manifestation and positive thinking and contemplation and meditation, because I went to a Buddhist university for school and we learned how the thought dictates our reality. I know all of this, but what I've downloaded is this process where I bring light through the cellular structure of the people that I work with, whether in groups or online or in person, and we speak to the intention of the light as it moves through the body. So many people will have the intention of clearing patterns that they've held on to or that have kept them stuck. And so we have the light move into the cells within the brain. We have the cells start dancing within the light. They see different geometric symbols. They see different light. They see different light patterns. The light travels, it spirals into the cells, right? We see this, we move the light all the way through the body in a very specific way to unlock all the energy centers, to free and lift us into the dominion of our own light, right? To protect and make us into this electromagnetic force where we release anything negative and call in the positive. That's the first part of my work. And it's always downloaded to me from source. It's always different, but also very similar. But then we get to move into the altered states of consciousness where the client gets to connect with different levels of awareness within themselves and say, well, what do I need to know around this intention? We've given the intention, we've brought in the light, we've used positive association and positive psychology techniques, we've moved into theta brainwave states. And then we start to say, okay, now the client journeys. What are you seeing? What are you experiencing? Where are you? Do you find yourself, and many people find themselves in a place where they might be in water, clearing and cleansing, feeling the buoyancy of the water, being lifted up. After that, they receive what they're meant to receive, whether it's calming or peacefulness from the water. They're taken into another scene. They're taken up. They meet with their angels. They meet with their guides. it's just beautiful work. And the first time I experienced that part of the process, the journey through music, I was in grad school and I learned about this technique called the Bonnie method of guided imagery in music. It takes 10 years to learn this, but I had a private study because I just happened to be the only music therapy student at the school at the time. It just worked out. And I got to learn this process that to me was the closest I had ever been to heaven. And so I've come to find out now we study that and we find out the brain state that someone enters when they're in that state of consciousness. It's just like a plant medicine journey. It's absolutely identical to LSD journey,
Hmm.
the way that the brain works. So people get to access these transformative levels of consciousness through classical music. And then, of course, I use the singing bowls as well at first, but the classical music is where we really move. And that's when I channel. So I start to channel information for them. I'll get a message that their mother is with them and I'll write it in the notes. And then but more importantly, they themselves will see that being in their images. Say, oh, my mother's here. But
Hmm.
this is, what I've already written. And sometimes like if I'm online, I just hold it up and show them because they're under and I just like want to show them you know, and then they'll have a question. And typically the answer will already have come through the notes. How does my mother come to me? Oh, she comes through animals, or she comes through a very specific animal. So the work to me has been downloaded through the years through different mystical experiences that I've had that reconnect with my near-death experience. But now there's science to show how and why this works. And even our own government has done studies on these brainwave states. There was a project called the Gateway Project that was declassified in the late 90s, where they talked about manifestation and how thoughts create reality, and how when we focus on the positive, we bring in more of it because we're looking for it, right? So these practices of gratitude, these altered states, an experience like this just takes people deep into their knowing of who they are, and then they see the world differently. So
Right.
it's fascinating, and I'm really excited to talk with Veda more about that. I'm thankful that she invited me to be part of it and
Oh,
that I've
amazing.
gotten to know her so well. Yeah, so good.
Amazing. Oh gosh. I feel like, just like we said before, like, can you imagine in 4 more years where we're going to be?
Oh,
Like, it really gets me excited. I have this, like, I have these visions and I set my intentions are big, right? I have like big, big, big dreams,
yeah.
but I just know that I get so excited about it.
Yes.
Okay, so I went to this Joe Dispenza event. It was at UCSD actually. It was just he was talking about Source,
Yeah.
his new documentary. Are you familiar with that?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, amazing. And in fact, sitting there going, finally,
Yay.
everyone's getting on board. Everyone's getting on the raft.
Yeah. Yep.
But when you talk about theta brain waves, and I didn't realize it was classical music so explain the way that you can describe, because I've been doing these sound, it's called Kali. Have you heard of that?
Mhm.
Kali.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so I've been doing that. I actually took Richard to that last weekend when the girls were away. It was actually really fun.
Yeah.
And I know that music, but it's just this random brain, what it's doing to your brain, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you're
yeah.
just laying there. I'm not doing breath work. I mean, I
Right.
do it myself a little bit, but I'm not doing that intense breath work. It's just the sound.
Yeah.
So explain that, how that sound, because I understand, I was thinking that you did the sound bowls, but you turn on classical music.
I do. Yeah. So
Huh.
to me, the classical music, it's a whole program of researched music that follows a flow. So you start in a very structured piece of classical music that's evocative and image provoking, right? So it's emotional and it's connected and it's beautiful and you're traveling along with the music. Now, the structure of the music in classical music is such that it keeps you conscious enough that you are completely aware of what's happening and you're completely in control. Yet, because of the evocative nature of the music and the beautiful chords and the harmonies and all that, you're also able to access deeper levels of consciousness. So this music has been put together in a very specific way so that from the beginning of the session to the end is an arc. and you're traveling in the arc. And some people see colors and some people see visions. Most people have a mix of everything. And you can experience this process in one of two ways, on a psychological level or a transpersonal level. The psychological level means that you're working through different elements of the psyche that you know of in order to move into health, mental health and wellness, right? Or you can feel light or heavy, cold or hot, and you're lifted into another consciousness. You're working on things on a spiritual level in direct connection with your own higher self, or with guides or light beings or whatever. And then you're able to make more lasting shifts on this planet because you're making shifts on the ether. And then you're coming back in, and it all kind of, so this whole flow, I act as a guide to say, okay, where are you in this scene of it? The person's at a lake and they're cleansing and clearing and they're pulling in whatever. And then once they pull in whatever they're meant to pull in to move to the next level of awareness, they then, like for instance, this morning, my client pulled in peace and calming, and that's what she felt. She really needed this calming energy to take seat within her heart. And then after that, she was taken to the next scene where she was dancing, and she needed to absorb this feeling and embodiment of freedom, right? And then after that, she was taken to a church. And in the church, she received divine guidance that she needed to stand in the light. Now, that's representative on its own, right? But she goes and stands in this beam of light that's coming through the stained glass window. The light takes her up above so that she can see the perspective of the world. And then, so when she's looking at the perspective of the world, I have her think about, okay, the situation in your life that you're dealing with, that you're struggling with, look at this scene from above. What's the image? What's the message that you get? And she goes, that there's something greater than me, that I'm going to be okay, that I am powerful, that I am loved, that I don't need to be loved by one person. You know, that's kind of the message I got. So I'm throwing that in there, to know that I'm loved, right? She receives this connection and wisdom from the other side. And then she's taken to face head on with her higher self. And she said, this is a beautiful woman. And I said, this is you. And so she cries, yes, this is me. I embody this. I am this. I am powerful. I am love. I am peace. I am the creator of my future. And she knows these things on a cellular level for herself, right? And then she becomes this embodiment, her higher self. And for the, next few minutes, the only thing she wishes to say over and over is, I am powerful. And imagine to go from an experience of being hurt or lost in life or hopeless to this embodiment of your own power. It's beautiful. And then so we move on, and she goes through the rest of the imagery, and at the end we talk about it, we process it, we take a good 30 minutes. How does this relate to your life? What are the messages that you have? And then before the end of the session, we always allow all the light body to come back to us, to magnetize back to us from wherever we left it, in any situation, any timeline, everywhere. And so it's bringing that collection of light back from the other side, from your past self, from your future self, wherever. And now she's stepping fully back into this world, and it's a different world. It's a different world because now she has a knowing within her that she's not alone. She's powerful.
Right.
This is my work. This is what I
I
love.
love that. But do you realize, so I'm coming into contact with a lot of even friends here, people on that I've met on the podcast that are tapping into these gifts, right? More and more. It's like double speed,
Oh,
Mach
it's amazing.
speed,
Yep.
right? But when I see these gifts coming, I am a practicer of automatic writing and meditation, and and I can see it's a practice, right? You're doing it. But when I'm listening to you with your clients, do they start to tap? I mean, is this part of a process of them getting to so they understand how to get to that higher self
Yeah.
connection
Yeah.
quicker?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's just the first step. That's the beginning. That's opening the door. There are practices after that where, obviously we integrate the messages. So go earth and integrate the messages. The I am, let's say I am statements for 3 days. Pay attention to dreams. We've unlocked something. When you go into these types of states of awareness and you have an intention that you anchor in this experience, your brain is going to look for evidence of your intention everywhere. And so it'll come through song lyrics and dreams, and animals will come with messages, everything and anything. And I've seen people grow their intuitive skills exponentially in our work together, because it starts with the session, and then, people stay connected with me. I say, please stay connected. What's coming to you? I'm going to help you understand this. Colors even have meaning, so I help people to understand the meaning behind the colors, how to do further, deeper work. This is an ongoing journey. And oftentimes the session is the shift. The session is the reawakening, the remembering. And then, of course, and that's what's exciting, because then clients come back to me and they say, I'm getting this message in this dream last night, and this is what I mean, and this happened in my life, and this changed, and I sold a house, and I found this, and I manifested this. This cycle of positive feedback loop is also part of our journey, to find people that we can connect with on a spiritual level, so that we're sharing the exciting things, so we bring in more of it.
Right.
Right? This is
Yeah, I
all
love
part.
it. Yes. I know you do essential oils is a big part of your practice too. And I was listening to an interview, and, I've been into oils and I have them, and, but you really are so educated, and I learned so much. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get more oils. But
Yeah.
will you talk about the angelic? Because you
Oh,
had a really
Angelica.
neat experience with that. Yeah. Is it Angelica?
Angelica, yeah. So there are two. There's white Angelica and Angelica. White Angelica is a protective oil for light workers, and we use it to kind of protect ourselves before a session or whatever, so we don't pull in energy. But Angelica was the first oil I used, that was outside of like the normal ones that you get. It was the first spiritual oil the first spiritual experience. All of the oils are spiritual. But I remember I put it on my hands before seeing clients one week. It was just for me. And 10 out of 11 clients that week saw angels in their sessions with me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing, this stuff. But for me, it also helped me to channel that angelic energy. And it was beautiful. And since then, I've had so many mystical and amazing experiences from the oils, I can't even explain it. But they also hold these physical properties, and they hold intention, right? So Egyptian gold, which is another one of my favorite spiritual oils, it holds like many of the oils from the Bible. And so I know that these are highly spiritual oils. They're high in sesquiterpenes, so they can move into the brain. They can, shift emotion within a few seconds. They can stay in the brain for a few weeks, but also these oils are moving in and detoxing our cells on a cellular level, and cleaning the cell receptor sites and all of these things. I'm fascinated with the healing properties, the spiritually healing properties of oils, and the mental effects of them. And I use them in my session to create a positive association between an intention and then a physiological change. So the oils that I work with have a small enough molecular size they can move through the neuron into the amygdala, shift emotion. But the benefit also is that we can create an association, which is a psychological term for creating a connection between a thought and a physiological response. But it's more than that. It's a smell. We can use smell to create an association, so that every time we smell something, we can be brought back to that light, that good feeling or whatever. But these oils hold the ability to not only affect us on a cellular level, right? We can smell them and each day be reminded of the experience that we went through and the intention that we set. So it's a way of retraining your brain and your thought process to be more positive based. And that alone actually could change people's lives quite dramatically in just a few days, especially when paired with the I am, which I believe are the most powerful words that any person on this planet can ever say. So anything that follows the words I am you need to be very conscious of that. I am powerful. I am light. I am love. And then you're able to use the oils to really anchor that in and shift your experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
What
love
did you
them.
just put on your hand?
Oh, well, I did the one I had nearby, lime,
Okay.
uplifting. Yeah, I just happen to have it.
But, well, each one has like the valor. I was listening to valor. You put it on your feet. I mean, you really started making that part of your
Yeah.
practice when you were healing from this marriage.
Mhm. The
Let's talk
power of
about that.
intention. And think about, these are water, right? This is a water element, and our body is the water element, and the small enough molecular size to move into our cells, right? But then we're using it with intention. So we're speaking to this water element. We're speaking to everything within us. I did practice the freedom technique where I would combine it with questions from A Course in Miracles. And I was, at the time, I felt lost. So I would put these different oils on my feet, valor on my heart, joy, or valor on my feet, joy on my heart, transformation. I did um, highest potential. I did all of this kit, right? Whatever the protocol was, but I added my own questions. And I asked my presence every day, like, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say, and to whom? And this simple practice allowed me to connect daily, regularly with a higher presence. And I was answered. I received answers. I received knowledge, and things started happening at an incredibly beautiful pace where mystical, magical things started flooding to me, and love came into my life, and sacred partnership. I mean, things I really wasn't thinking possible at that phase of my life. I was just wondering, what am I going to do? But
You're so cute. Yeah, but so when I met you, you were I feel well, that was 4 years ago. So I
I
think that maybe you just met
I
your
just met Neil. Yeah,
fiance. Yeah.
yeah,
And I it's just I keep going back to like what 4 years can entail, right? Like it's crazy. And I know time goes by so fast. I mean, we both have children. Their childhood is pretty much, at the tail end of it.
yeah,
And it just seems like it was a blink of an eye.
yeah.
When you explain your marriage and what you went through and who you were then, like, and what you put up with and how you like even the story about the plane ticket to get to the Chicago and that you just like succumbed to his no of the like this money thing.
I
It,
know.
I mean, it was like, what the heck? I just wanted to come over and say, Ellen, like,
I
come on.
know. I know. I'd gotten to the point where I so undervalued myself, and was so used to being undervalued that I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know I was in it. And that's the sad part.
Right.
That I didn't realize how undervalued I was until I got out of it. And I looking back now, it's almost hard to believe. And would I want that for my daughters? No.
I know, right?
No, I wouldn't want that for my daughters or my son.
Right.
I wouldn't want that for myself. And it's interesting how I also think, though, there's purpose to everything. And I think that there are some of there was a purpose to not being fully in my gifts at that time,
Right.
because I don't think they would have been understood, at least not in the place in life where I was at that time. But now here I am in this time post COVID, when people are celebrating uh, the unique gifts in the spiritual world and are realizing there's something bigger, and that we can believe in something that's might not be as easy to understand right now,
Hmm.
but science is catching up
Right.
very quickly. And we're starting to see that, yes, water holds memory. Yes, water can imprint crystals on the image that's underneath them. And how does it know to even do that when it's frozen? I mean, the structure of water changes based on how we speak to it. Like,
I know. I
would we
love that.
ever believe that in the past? No, I don't know. I
Mm-mm.
don't know that we would have.
Mm-mm. I mean,
But
the
that's
things we talk about now in the podcast, even 4 years, I mean, I didn't go back to listen to ours, but I'm
the
sure it was like nothing like what we talk about now.
Exactly. Like, I had a download last week about salt, which is this is a new thing. The water download came to me, and then more recently the salt download came, and I wouldn't have talked about it. I wouldn't have
Hmm.
talked about it years ago because I would have thought, oh, it's too far out there. But the download was about how we become salt, which nourishes the earth,
Hmm.
but also we partake of salt because it nourishes us. I am the salt of the earth, right? We are the salt of the earth. And I thought, so I was asking, source, like, is this what it's about? Are humans here to nourish the earth in that way? And the answer was, no, it's way more than that. The earth is electrical being. We are electrical beings. Salt allows us to be electrical beings, to be conduits of this light energy that we bring to the earth. The earth needs our light, literally needs our light. We need for us to raise our frequency through our thought process, through our interactions with each other, through our work. We're expanding our light on this planet. We can reach for miles and miles, but also we reach into the earth with our light. And so she is elevating with us. And so it's a dynamic of collaboration where we're bringing light to her, she's lifting, and then we are rewarded. When the more light we bring, the more light we receive in our experience, that heaven on earth energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, what a beautiful message to share with the world, right?
Yeah,
That's the
so
message I
good.
got last week, and I
Yeah,
loved it.
I love that. Oh, I want to talk about signs and synchronicities, and you talk about that in your book, and where you look deeper into the meaning. And I think if people did that and understood why things happen, or
Yeah.
all the things, but go to the bathtub thing where the water and how you turned it into, and why how you understood the meaning of that. Because I thought that was, it's, if people just let a bath water, whatever, leak, the whole
Oh,
flood or whatever, and just let it go. But you like dissected it.
well, hindsight is 2020. So that we had this leak in my house where the bathtub flooded into the floor below, right? And first of all, it was a mystery because the bathtub broke in a way that nobody could see because it sealed itself back up. Nobody could see where the seam was and how it had gone through. But this leak went on for months and months, right? They fixed the leak and another leak happened, and then the roof started happening, and then the hose got pulled out of the sink and flooded the floor and had to be replaced. The message I got throughout that whole like 9 months of time was, you can fix the leak, but you can't fix the marriage. Like, these are the words I'm getting. But at the time, I didn't know. I didn't realize like there was even an opportunity to not be in the marriage. That wasn't even in my realm. And I remember at some point thinking, okay, this is getting weird. And I know from my near death experience, everything happens for a reason. It's a sign. And I ran into a psychic at a networking event, and she said, "Do you know what water means?" And I said, "No, I think it means, I don't know. I thought it meant there was an entity or something." And she goes, "No, it's withheld emotion." So then I thought, oh, I need to work on myself. I'm withholding emotion. It wasn't me, right? It was all these signs, and I just didn't listen. But over time, I learned to listen, and I have learned to listen more quickly because I feel like we get these threads of experience. And each time the universe is knocking, and you can answer the door or you cannot listen, it's just going to blow the door down at some point because it's like, well, you're not listening, so I'm going to take control. I'm going to self-correct. This is not right for you anymore, whether you want to hear it or not, right? And so I think that that's our conscious choice. If we take that loving action, we enact the law of balance where we can like bring more good to our light. But if we just listen to the signs, and so that's what a lot of the book is about. It's helping people recognize the signs, the subtle signs. Everything is a sign, every single thing. This whole thing is a construct. Like, we're living in a construct of our own minds, our own realities. And yes, there are things happening in the world. I would never, say that there aren't. There are lots of things that are meant to be looked at. And our experience is that we get to choose how we respond to it. Do we respond to it in love? And there are some things that we can't control other than just being in our own highest light for ourselves. And that's the most we can do. Sometimes there's just some things we can't control other than just bringing our light to other people.
Right.
So yeah, the signs are pretty important. When you learn to read them, it changes
Yeah.
everything.
Total. I'm so about that. Every time I'm always looking. It's a treasure hunt for me every day.
It's so fun. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. It was like, oh, it's another sign, another synchronicity. This couldn't have happened by accident.
Right.
This had to have been by design.
Yes, everything. I'm at the grocery store and it's like constant,
Yes,
it's like at
yes,
the gas station, I look at the number. It's like, it's just it's part of my day, and
yes,
I incorporate that. The girls, we do that together when we're together. And it's like, it's kind of a game that we play. And it's just so fun because doing that, first of all, makes you realize how powerful you are and you can create anything. It
yeah,
raises your vibration. You're like living in this, like, so exciting to find some, the next little breadcrumb that falls in front of you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just, yeah, I love it. And I loved um, the parts of your book, but I wanted to go to that because I'm remembering in 2018, there was something about you left part of your soul in your
Oh,
near death
yeah.
experience, right?
Yeah, that is so cool.
Because that's like, what?
I'm so glad you asked me about that because I recently got more information about that. I went in for a healing, where she was reading my aura. She took a picture of my aura and that each side was a different color. She thought maybe something was wrong, but she realized through a vision that I came back that way, which makes sense because during my head injury, when I came back, I didn't have a memory of what had come before. And my doctor said, well, you'll get the memories that you're meant to have in the first 5 years, and after that, you won't get any. So I can think of maybe a few that came through, maybe three, maybe five. My parents would put me in front of home movies and try to get me to watch the movies from memory, but nothing came. And so there's this concept in the near-death experiencer world of people who are considered drop-ins, and drop-ins are people who come back in their human body, but they have a different soul that comes in to live their life. And I've done some studies with the International Association for Near-Death Studies where I've had some discussions with people who know about that, who've speculated that maybe that was it, but it didn't fully I wasn't really sure if it fit or not. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to consider myself special or anything like that. But what she said in this session was that I had left a portion of my soul body behind, and it had come back in a cosmic egg in that session and was meant to be reintegrated. And so I felt it. I felt an entire side of my body light up when I received this, and then the whole thing, and then rested. I saw it, I felt it, and then she told me things are going to change. A lot of things are going to change really soon, which did happen. It led me into this experience of the divorce and my reawakening. But even just this year, I went in for another reading, and it was fascinating because the woman said, "Oh, oh, you were part of a kind of an experiment on the other side. They sent your soul back in, a fragment of your soul, but then they sent this other soul in with you. So you had this fragment of your soul, and then you've got this kind of light being soul that came in. And I think that's why when I'm in my sessions, I transfer into that energy. When I'm in front of my bowls, when I'm in front of the music, when I'm sitting. So and she said, this is why you have the ability to explain the other side differently than many near-death experiencers do. You've had the kind of gift of having this energy come through that can help you communicate through your human soul and then this soul. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And that just came up. And it was a reading recently. Yeah, yeah. So now I know more information about that than wasn't even in the book.
Huh.
And
Yeah,
that fits for me. It fits because I still feel like me,
right.
but there is this other energy that comes through when I'm working. That's
So
very different.
like
Yeah.
two souls inside of your body.
Yeah, that's what she said. I feel like it's all the same. I mean, we
Right.
are all
Oh,
part of
right.
one, right? So, and we all have this ability to access all types of ascended master energy to come through. We can do that. And I've had that experience as well. But yeah, that's what she said about my waking world. I'm kind of living in two realms. It's just
Huh.
quite fun. Yeah.
That is. But
Yeah.
you can feel that, or you,
Yeah, it resonates with me very well. And it explains a lot because, I've got my human goofy self and my, all of that. But then when you, when I get into my work and I meditate and I feel that, I call it the whoosh in the book. It's when I'm sitting and then I bring in a different energy. and it has a different voice. It has
Hmm.
a different, you know, it has a different energy around it. So
Wow.
it's kind of cool. But I
That
think
is
we
cool.
all have that as
Right.
well. I think now we're at the point where you don't need a near-death experience to have that, because now we're elevated beings, because
Right.
living on a higher frequency planet now than we were before COVID. And so now we're all like, people are coming to me having dreams they want to understand, or they're leaving their body and astral projecting. That's our work now, is helping others move into this new awareness with us.
Have you astral projected like in your dreams? Do you
In my
remember?
dreams, I haven't, but my children have. Both of my two oldest children have talked about that pretty vividly.
Huh. How do you
For
explain that?
I I absolutely think it's possible. I think it is a skill that can be developed. I think certain people have that skill. I think my skill is to channel the messages from the higher self, and certain ascended masters can sometimes come through. I think my gift is to teach people how to access their higher self for themselves. And also I feel very connected with the I am, like, instruction, and like, just that we are powerful and we can create our existence. And the power of positive thought and all of that. And music, obviously, music, color, and light are my gifts. But I think, children can be born to us that are aware of our gifts, that have even more special gifts and can
Mhm.
do more. And I think that's why they're born to us, because we can show them that side of themselves and help them to understand that they're not weird and they should be
Right.
celebrated,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Not shut down. And I work with kids a lot, and, I see the programs that they've been programmed by, and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I just can't wait to get that onion peeled because, and then as soon as it is, and their light starts shining out of their eyes, and they're like connecting with me more, and I get so excited and know, I'm very passionate about that.
Oh my goodness. I know.
Yes.
I found a school for my children, like, for their through middle school, that was, I felt, is a conscious school that was meant to help them stay in their light. And then I'm so thankful too that they weren't in the public school system for a certain amount of time, that they had that experience of coming into their own and celebrating their differences.
Right.
I love it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love that you work with children. What a gift.
Oh, I love it so much. I know I've seen it in so many past lives. Like it's like a no-brainer when I'm with them. It's like, oh, I have that so much. But like even when the girls bring friends home, I'm always like right there wanting to like Paige goes, the other day, Mom, I'm talking to my friend and she goes, "Oh, you just sounded just like your mom." And she goes, "Thank you." Is that a good thing? Yeah, okay, on the end, we're coming to the end, but I wanted to ask you I know you connected with Jack Canfield, but when you did that, were you trying to figure out, like, were you searching to, um, what were you searching for when you met him and were trying to, I feel like you were trying to figure out how to manifest, abundance?
Well, someone referred me to him for my work. So I gave him a private session first with his wife and a couple of other people he was close with. And he was so complimentary of my work that he invited me to be part of a couple projects that he was doing. And one of them was the abundance experience. And it was also something that I had done with my oils team and community for the 3 years prior to that. So I brought in kind of this practice that I had learned and that I was using with my team and brought it to him. And then there was a collaborative book kind of written from that based on that experience. And then he brought me into another project called the Emotional Reset. And as he got to know my story more, he said, "You just have a great story. I think you should share it with the world." And I said, I'm not an author. I'm not going to be an author. But after a couple of years of working with him on these projects, he said, "Just write 80 pages." And so I did. I sat down to write, and then he became my mentor for this book. He actually helped me title it and mentored me on it, and then wrote the foreword, which I used as an endorsement on the back. And I consider him a friend. I saw him a couple of weeks ago where I helped with a retreat. I opened for a retreat that he was leading in near Malibu. And I really love his work. In fact, I'm sending him a copy. I just emailed him this morning, like, so I can send him a copy because he's such a big part of the reason why I wrote this book.
Oh,
And I'm so thankful for him. So I just, yeah, that's how I got to know him. It was through the work that I did with him. And then some projects. And then, yeah. And then as I started to learn more about abundance by being a part of that project, I learned these manifestation tools with him and through his mentorship. Because writing the book, him mentoring me through that, it was so much more than just about the book. It was about manifesting and abundance and positivity and different experiences. And I got to come in and give him visions that I was seeing. And he would say, oh, I want to hear what you have to say. Tell me what you're seeing this week and what are you seeing what's happening in the world. It was quite wonderful for me. And it was all during COVID. So I needed that so
right,
much. Yeah.
right. Huh, neat. I love that. So your book, let's talk about your book and we'll end on that. When you, what is what was your intention? Like what in your, saying I have a book and I want them to know my life story. I want to open people's, like, if you look at that book and I know you're probably like, what does it feel like?
Well, I'm really proud that I did it, first of all. And all of my work is about helping people connect to their higher presence. If I get a message that comes through for someone who's doing my nails and I'm seeing, our child that passed or getting a message from her father or whatever, it's always about them. How does this help them connect to their own presence and let them see that they are powerful and they are co-creators and that they are not alone? And so this book is about that. It's about how these different experiences in my life showed me that this creative power, this manifesting power, this connection, this co-creation, that we're not alone, we're filled with light, that we have that God presence within us. And so each chapter ends with a meditation that connects with a mystical experience in my life where I learned to develop intuitive skills or to connect more deeply with my presence or to manifest or to create sacred partnership. All of these things are something that I want people to learn for themselves. So that's what the book is about. It's really just a guide to help people raise their frequency and see the magic of this wonderful life that we get to live.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
And tell everybody where they can find you and
Oh,
all
well,
the things.
you can find me. My website is wellnessmusictherapy.com. I also hold a weekly meditation group with downloads and angel messages on Facebook every week. It's a donation-based group. You can find that on my website. It's called Your Sacred Space. The book, Waking Up in Heaven, is on Amazon. It's in bookstores. It's on Kindle. And I think it's pretty much you can order it from any bookstore, but it's on Barnes & Noble. The documentary that I was in last year called Beyond the Grave is found on Amazon streaming and other places. It did win the Cannes Best Paranormal Film of the Year for this year. They're accepting awards in a couple weeks. So that was a pretty big acknowledgement of that. And I'm about to be in another couple of documentaries coming out later this year.
Oh,
You
wow.
can be on the lookout and you can find interviews like this one and other interviews on my website under the media section and tab. And you can find info about my private sessions as well. But I'd love it if you get the book and you check it out. I'd love to hear what you guys think of it. And I just appreciate being able to share it here with you, Ashley, in this time that we've had together.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to see you again and share your magic some more magic because I know it'll be another couple years and we'll have way more magic.
Magic all over the place.
It is. Oh, thank you, Ellen, so much.
Thank you.